Welcome to Rex Arthur TV. This is the Rex Arthur Show where we discuss LGBTQ issues with an LGBTQ approach and an LGBTQ perspective in an LGBTQ plus planet, and where each and everyone belongs to one or two letters in the 10 letter sexual alphabet. And boy, oh boy, this is going to be the video about our usual climate, LGBTQ concern for climate and the universe and the planet. It is an LGBTQ plus planet, so we have to be concerned about what's happening in the planet. And it's so shocking how weather is really being disrupted thanks to climate change. And we just want to show you some videos to show you what's really happening in the climate change. This is Chicago. Look at this happening in Chicago. Minus 50 degrees.
Go, whenever.
Look at that. And let's go to other places. Dangerous cold weather in Chicago. And look at ABC7 from Chicago.
Alan, I just couldn't do it anymore. Here inside the Crystal Gardens at Navy Pier, you can look out, get the feeling of something tropical while looking out on what appears to be a tundra. It is so cold that the Ferris wheel here at Navy Pier can't even run. The wind is brutal and the temperatures are bitterly cold.
5 degrees outside, but I enjoy ice skating. And, it's the winter, so, Chicago is cold.
That's one thing for city residents who are prepared, but quite another for tourists.
We're not used to it. I've got like 5 layers of clothing on, and I'm still cold.
But even by Chicago standards, there's no debating. This is cold. Temperatures hung in single digits and the
Single digits weather. And that's more in the streets of Chicago.
This is Chris
Look at
Presents.
that.
I'm in downtown Chicago.
It's big
It's snowing.
news. And then we also, let's go now to Australia. Australia is having one of the hottest summers in its history. Okay, let's do Australia summer 2019. And there's a heat wave. So let's
Hello
see.
from the Bureau of Meteorology. We're here with an update on the ongoing heatwave and elevated fire conditions. Severe heatwave conditions are continuing today over a large part of New South Wales, extending into South Australia, Queensland and the Northern Territory. The temperature in Noona in New South Wales only dropped to 35.9 degrees last night, an all-time minimum temperature record for Australia. Broad areas will exceed 42 degrees today, continuing a trend that started on Monday. Canberra is forecast to reach 40 degrees today for a 4th day in a row, something that hasn't been observed since 1939 when records began.
Yeah, so there. Since record began. And then here, 2019, Australia heat waves in 2019, record temperatures. And let's see them.
Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. I just want to give you guys an update on what's going on in Australia. Apparently they've had 5 of the 10 hottest days on record in the last 2 weeks.
Are you seeing that?
Hottest January ever recorded in history. They
The
found what they're
hottest
calling
January
a
ever
mass
recorded
grave. I wouldn't
in
really call it
history.
that. But major die-off of some wild horses. I guess a third of all of the fruit bats in the country have died as a result of this heat wave over the last 3 months.
2019, the
Now, I
warmest
had
year
one
on record.
subscriber from Australia chalk this up as business as usual, that it gets food. That's when shit is going to hit the fan. Never mind the EBT card
Wild
shutdown
Canadian
business. That's
winter, 11
probably
feet of snow
more than likely going to be
also
resolved in the
recorded
next
there.
month or
Wow.
so. The
So,
real question is,
guys, it is interesting that the world is like that. And why is it that the world is so cold, very cold in the northern hemisphere, and very extremely hot in the southern hemisphere? Well, it's as simple as that. It's climate change that is affecting the world. And we want to discuss more about the climate change in a small time, because we just want to give you a tidbit of the world. Now, you have to understand something about the world, and the world um, is the world has always been going through climate change. That's what you have to know. Now, ever since the world began, you have to understand, what is the world? The world and the universe is a life form. It has its life. The stars have life. The planets have life. The moon has life. Now, but it's diverse. They have diverse life forms. They are not the usual life forms you have. Now, because of that, everything that has life has death, or degenerates, or dies. That's the fact. That's why, to me, I'm really trying to study terrestrial planets. That's the Earth, Mars, Mercury, and Venus, because these are the only terrestrial planets. They are what you call terrestrial. They have land. The rest of the planets only have gases. And because, in my view, gaseous planets tend to die faster than terrestrial, because terrestrial planets are solid. So, and the sun is not solid. It is a star made up of photons. Now, when the universe began, anything that has a beginning has an end. So we do not know which one is older. In my view, I think the Earth is older, but I would be wrong, as I said in the other video, because the Earth can't be older when it is part of the solar system of the Earth. So meaning the sun must have been born first, and then the Earth came to being. Again, when you read the Bible and religious books, they say there was no sun, but the Earth existed. So the sun came in after the earth, according to the Bible, because in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. It doesn't say sun, it doesn't say anything. And then it says there was darkness. And then it says light was created. And then after light was created, the sun was also created. So there's some confusion in the order of creation in the Bible. The earth was already existing, and the planets were already existing, and the universe was already existing. So according to the Bible, it's not, the sun was a late comer. But according to science, because the earth is part of the solar system, then the earth was a planet. The earth came after the sun. And the sun is a solar system. And so when the solar system was created, the sun being the star, then the earth, the debris from other stars could have now led to the creation of the earth. So we do not know how exactly the earth was formed. But when you go to the ages of the earth, and this is where we are focusing on, ages of the earth, you will notice something very weird. The ages of the earth. Let's go to Wikipedia. The age of the earth. They want me to go to the application. I don't think I should go to the application. I prefer, but nonetheless, we can still go there. I prefer the internet. So the age of the earth is 4.54 plus or negative, that's more or less 0.05 billion years. So the age of the Earth is 4.5 billion years, roughly 4.5 billion years. This age may represent the age of the Earth's accretion of core formation or from the material from which the Earth formed. So that's what I was trying to say. This dating is based on evidence from radiometric age editing of meteorite material and is consistent with the radiometric ages of the oldest known terrestrial and lunar samples. So they have measured through meteorite, as I was telling you, meteorites. These are rocks from the earth, from the universe, that must have landed and helped in the formation of the earth. Now look at it, it looks like a marble. Have you seen a marble? It just looks like that. And following the development of radiometric age dating in the early 20th century, measurements of lead in uranium-rich minerals showed that some were excess over a billion years old. So they found lead in uranium minerals, minerals that are rich in uranium, to have high, the lead in them was approximately over billions of years old. And this is where they saw in the Jack Hills of Western Australia. They found the oldest minerals, small crystals of zircon, to be 4.4 billion years old. Can you see how old the Earth is? 4.4. Now, I want us to look at this. Look at how the Earth, this is what I'm trying to tell you. And climate change has been happening forever, ever since the Earth has begun. That's what you need to understand. It's not a new phenomenon. So look at why I'm saying this. You see, the Earth began with what was called the Ice Ages. And in the Ice Ages, the primates came, flowers, birds, then mammals. If you are an evolutionist, I am an evolutionist also, much as I believe in the creation. I believe in the creation of the world by a deity based on my spiritual experiences, the fact that I can sense charges, and I've been saying that in my theological channel. However, I also believe in evolution. It is very evidential. And why do I believe in evolution? It's because change is part of time. And evolution is change. Evolution is mutation. Everything that has life mutates. Even the sun is mutating. Even the moon mutates. Everything that has a life form mutates because change is part of time. You've been seeing what has been happening on Instagram and Facebook, the 10-year challenge. It is based on the fact that you change. You never stay the same. Your body, you become bigger, you become more serious. Some of us lose hair. Some of us, our hair is gray. Some of us become fatter. Some of us become slimmer. All that is change that happens to us. And that's the same change that happens to the earth. The earth has been evolving, much as mammals have been evolving, much as plants have been evolving. So you can see the first age of the world was the Ice Age. The world was full of ice. And then when it dried up, because who knows, the sun was also changing, it was getting stronger. You know, stars, they grow in intensity, in shine, in light, in the strength of light. It shines out. It grows in that strength, and sometimes can also dim. You know, sometimes stars become bright, then they become dim. So that happens to the sun also. So, but it happens over a period of years. After billions of years, then it decides to die. Now, look at the Ice Age, then we go to the Karoo Age, then Andean Age, then the Cyrogenian Age, then you have the Huroyan Age, and then the Pongola Age, and then you have the Hadean Age. This is now when water appeared. So that's the life timeline. Water appeared. Multicellular life all of these photosynthesis, then water appeared, and then you have the earth. So that's how they, however they put it. Let me see. Oh yeah, I think this is how you're supposed to, this is how it started. I've gone through it in a different way. The timeline is this way. The earth was 4.5 billion years old. Here it is at the beginning. Then that's the Hadean age. Then after the Hadean age, earliest oxygen and earliest life came about in the Archean age. So the first age is the Hadean age, the second is the Archean age. And then after the Archean age, there was an oxygen crisis, and this happened at the Proterozoic age, and this is when eukaryotes were formed and multicellular life. Then after that, you have the Phanerozoic age, and this is the ice ages. Okay, not so clear timeline, but we're going to get a better map to describe what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that, you see, the earth has had ages. There was a time the earth had too much ice. Then after that, the ice melted, and then water was now the, you see, like the polar ice pole, the polar caps, North Pole and South Pole. Those are signs that the earth used to have ice all over. But as it dried up, the earth became more and more watery and less icy. So that's what happened. And then it's because the sun, contrary, because we are in the solar system, if you are a believer that the sun is the solar system, is created by the solar system, then it means that the sun is creating the earth. It's the one changing the earth. That's why climate change is also partly to blame on the sun, because it has energy. It has solar energy, and energy means, in physics, means work. So the sun is working, and when it shines, when it works too much, it can affect the earth. Now I want to end this video. This is just part one. We're discussing about the earth. Now as we end, we're going to do, in part two, we're going to discuss why the earth, why are we having weather extremities now in such a great way. We want to discuss that in part two. But I want you to leave part one knowing this, that the earth is a life form. And because it's a life form, it also went through evolution. So it went through ice age, then the ice age, then the water age, then the water age, then the mixed age of the terrestrial and the marine environment. All right, we're coming back for part two.